what are your thoughts on this and actually the view of Russia by the international community?
Well, I think the view of Russia is absolutely catastrophic. I mean, it's very, very hard to see how Russia won't be blighted for years, maybe decades to come, in Western opinion. If Vladimir Putin were to leave office by whatever means, then I think there would be a chance of some bridge building, some improvement. But at the moment, it looks as though those prospects are just gone for as far as we can see.
Mm. The Russian people don't appear, a lot of them may not even know what's going on. We'll be talking a bit about the reaction from some of the soldiers who were captured by Ukrainians later on in the show. But James Bloodworth, your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's difficult. We keep hearing about there needs to be talks, but it's difficult to see how there can be any kind of compromise, because from what Putin was saying during that kind of deranged speech he gave last week, he doesn't see Ukraine as a separate entity. He sees Ukraine as something that Vladimir Lenin gave away. He thinks that Ukraine belongs to Russia. And, you know, Ukraine is an independent democracy. It has the right to self-determination. So where is the compromise there? It's not about Putin objecting to NATO expansionism. Putin doesn't believe in Ukraine as a sovereign country. And so we're going to see much more death and destruction as Russia's army sweep right across Ukraine and secure the country. But I don't think that's going to be easy. I think that you're seeing this resistance from Ukrainians, so this is going to drag on.
I mean, it is a frightening prospect that he seems to be, he's wanton on destruction, and that seems to be the way we're going. Christopher Snowdon.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with James. I don't see any prospect of these negotiations succeeding, or I don't even know if they've been held in good faith by the Russians. But Mary is quite right. The best-case scenario, and really the only positive scenario that's in any way realistic, is Putin being deposed or indeed assassinated, more likely. And I don't think that's totally implausible, because the Russian economy, I mean, the stock market is on its absolute knees. The economy is doing incredibly badly. The sanctions really have an effect already and will continue.
Do you think, how do we know? Because it doesn't, I mean, Putin's got a lot of gold. He's backing up everything at the moment, so they probably won't be feeling anything right now.
Well, the government has got the money to continue fighting the war, certainly, but that doesn't mean that the economy can be kept afloat with this kind of cash. So, I mean, people in Russia are already feeling this. State media, of course, is lying to the Russian people, but you can't keep this news out indefinitely. Thousands of Russian soldiers are dying. I think the war is going worse than Putin expected, which maybe gives us hope that he won't be doing this to another country very soon. This is going to go on for a very, very long time, I would think. But ultimately, of course, Ukraine is almost certain to be crushed, because they don't have the might of Russia or anything close to it.
Well, they don't, but there are 40 million or so citizens, and that's a lot of people to try and sort of deal with who don't agree with you, isn't it? What do you think, because obviously you work with the Institute of Economic Affairs, what kind of impact do you think companies like IKEA leaving that region or closing their businesses down, do you think that this will be the thing that eventually breaks Vladimir Putin, this sort of behaviour from business?
It will be, the combined effort will have a big impact on the Russian economy, absolutely. Combined with it becoming a pariah state, even the things like the Formula One and the Olympics and the football, all these things have an effect on public opinion in Russia. And it's ultimately public opinion in Russia that has a chance of deposing Putin, although I think probably in reality it's going to be a Julius Caesar situation. It's going to be the people very close to him. But apart from anything else, nobody can physically get close to him to do much about it.
Do you think he expected this economic impact in terms of all those companies sort of rallying against them?
He would have expected sanctions, for sure. I don't think, I have no idea, really, but I don't think he expected, A, for the war to be fought so badly by the Russian army, and B, for the sanctions to be as extensive as it has been, and indeed for the rest of Europe to give so much support to the Ukraine. We've done, I think, about as much as we could in terms of supporting Ukraine without Putin wanting to push a nuclear button.
And it's disturbing, isn't it? Because when you see him doing his speeches and everything, he is not moving. He is not changing his point of view. He is standing firm. He's doubling down on what he's going to do. And I'm wondering, how do they actually get out of it? How do we see somebody like this backing down, if at all, Mary?
Well, I think the prospects of him backing down are very, very slim, because when you look at what he's invested in this now, against all forecasts, really. He's chosen the maximum option. He hasn't just gone for occupying and securing the pro-Russian regions, the breakaway regions in the east. He's gone for subduing the whole of Ukraine. And it's very, very hard to see any way back from that. And I also think that there's, which may be slightly more controversial, I do ask myself, when I see the combined might of the US Congress and the British Parliament and the European Parliament all standing in adulation of President Zelenskyy, which is basically encouraging him to stand firm. And if the result of him standing firm is the destruction of Ukraine, of Ukrainian cities, and of millions, possibly, Ukrainian citizens either leaving into refugeedom or being killed or injured in the attacks, I'm not sure that we should be encouraging that. And there's very little talk at the moment of encouraging President Zelenskyy, for all his heroism, actually to enter into some sort of talks where he's going to have to make some sort of concession.
Well, I think he is trying to enter into talks with Putin at the moment. But I don't think the people of Ukraine, and if indeed it was my country, would I be ready just to lie back and just allow this. And they are using, I mean, as far as we have heard, vacuum bombs, which are those awful thermobaric missiles, which are horrendous and literally vaporise things. So that is disturbing.
Yeah, I mean, and what is the president of Ukraine going to negotiate? Is he going to? Does he have the right to negotiate the sovereignty of his country? I mean, it's up to Ukraine who it forms alliances with, whether that's the European Union, whether that's NATO, and why Ukraine. You know, we say that there may be, you know, there's going to be a death toll because Ukrainians are resisting. Well, the Russian state murdered millions of Ukrainians during the 20th century. It's not a surprise that they want to resist going back under the control of Russia.